Well, we have some great words for you in a moment, but we're not going to delay the big thing that you've all been waiting for. So I'm going to ask Governor Sanders, Leader Jeffries, members of the Arkansas delegation, Secretary Thurston, Mr. King, Mr. Victor, Mr. Broadway to join me on stage as we unveil the statue. Whenever you're ready.
It is an absolute privilege to be here in our nation's capital to represent the great state of Arkansas and honor one of our state's very finest, Daisy Gatson Bates. Thank you to Arkansas's congressional delegation and congressional leadership from both sides of the aisle for being here. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for hosting us. It's great to see so many friendly and excited faces in the crowd. That's frankly not always the norm for DC, but it's no surprise that even after she is gone, Daisy is still bringing people together. I can't think of a better way to elevate this program than with singers from two of Arkansas's HBCUs, UAPB and Philander Smith. Both schools were at the center of activism during the Civil Rights era, and today, one of them sits on Daisy Gatson Bates Drive in Little Rock, Arkansas. We're also here with many of Bates' family and friends and the president of the Daisy Bates Museum, living reminders that though Daisy is no longer with us, her legacy and her impact live on. I'm privileged enough to have met Daisy Bates. I'm a Little Rock Central High class of 2000 graduate, the same school that Bates helped to desegregate. And we remember rightly the heroism of the Little Rock Nine who first desegregated Central. And we also remember that always right there with them was Daisy. One moment privately comforting those brave students, the next publicly confronting Arkansas's most powerful politicians. In 1997, my dad, then Governor Mike Huckabee, joined then President Bill Clinton to ceremonially open the doors of Central to the Little Rock Nine. It's still to this day one of my most vivid memories from growing up. Thousands cheering in the crowd, media from literally all over the world. And up on the dais with the president, the governor, and the mayor was Daisy in her rightful place of honor. But as much as I look back on that day in 1997 with fond memories, we can never forget the scene from 40 years earlier. The crowds weren't cheering, they were booing. The president had taken control of the National Guard, and the governor promised to shut the school down before he integrated it. The 9 students were harassed, they were hurt, and they were haunted. Daisy Bates' own home was vandalized repeatedly. Bates herself was arrested. In a similar situation, most of us would have chosen anger and bitterness, and likely even called for retaliation. But Daisy didn't. She didn't arm the students with hate, but instead with hope. She didn't use her house to plan revenge, but instead made it a safe haven for Black students. There was a fire inside this woman, but she did not use it to burn our state down. Instead, she used it to bring light to our darkest corners. Today, it can be hard to imagine those hot September days of 1957 and the burning anger that some felt towards their fellow Arkansans. In fact, it reminds me of a visit I made with my parents when I was 11 to Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, Israel's memorial to the victims of the Holocaust. I remember walking through those halls and seeing the unspeakable brutality committed during that dark time. And I remember at the end, pulling my father's pen from his shirt pocket and signing Yad Vashem's guest book. After writing my name and my address in that spot, I wrote a very simple question: why didn't somebody do something? It's a question that frankly still haunts me to this day. Thankfully, back in 1957, somebody did do something. Daisy Bates stood up to the injustice. Amid all of the hate and the anger, she moved our state forward. Daisy was a picture of courage, being willing to take on the fight because it was right, not because she knew that she could win. Arkansans take a lot of pride in where we come from, the pioneers and patriots who built our state, the activists and the advocates who changed it for the better. Daisy is one of those heroes. It's why my dad established Daisy Gatson Bates Day, why we have Daisy Bates Elementary, Daisy Bates Drive, and Daisy Bates Scholarships. But outside of Arkansas, Daisy Bates is less well known. But today, we change that. This beautiful statue and this ceremony are a great place for us to start to tell her story. Long after all of us are retired from politics and gone from this world, Daisy will be standing here in these marble halls, reminding everyone of the long and difficult march it took to get us to this moment and the importance of continuing that march forward. As you would expect, Daisy said it best when she said it herself. Arkansas is the home of my birth, my growth, my identity as a woman in this world. It has claimed me from birth, and I have claimed it for life. Daisy has always claimed Arkansas, and today we are very, very proud to claim her back and have her represent all of us in this special place. As governor and on behalf of the entire state of Arkansas, Daisy Bates makes us proud. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for helping us tell this story. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charles King, President of the Daisy Bates House Museum Foundation Board.
To Mr. Speaker, our host, the Honorable Akeem Jeffries, a leader amongst leaders, the Arkansas delegation, Governor Sanders, and a special shout out to one who we African Americans in Arkansas refer to respectfully as our 5th Congressman, Congressman Danny Davis, a native of Parkdale, Arkansas. Langston Hughes, the epic American poet, wrote in 1923, "I too sing America." When African Americans were not to be seen, when African Americans were not to be heard, when African Americans were not recognized and certainly not respected, especially in the South. However, he wanted the world to know that he, or we, too, sing America. In many ways, he was a prelude to Mrs. Daisy Bates in his song of America. You see, at the age of 3, America, through 3 angry white racists, raped, killed, and threw her mother in a lake, and were never held responsible. America, through racism, ran her father away from the paper mill job he held in Huckabee, Arkansas, leaving her with neighbors to be raised without either a mother or father. America, through blind-sighted white business owners, refused to advertise in her and Elsie's newspaper because she pushed for justice in education, causing them to lose their newspaper without the ability to financially survive themselves. The Song of America was not the tune for Daisy Bates. I have to believe that the Almighty had a bigger and better song for Daisy. Langston Hughes also wrote, "For me, life ain't been no crystal stair." And that more appropriately for Daisy's life. Climbing, if you would, the rough side of the mountain, just doing her best to make it through. When America threw bricks through her large picture window with a note on it, on the last one that said, "The next time it will be a bomb," Daisy kept singing America. When they burned a cross on her front yard at 1207 West 28th Street, Daisy kept singing America. When they subjected she and LC to abject poverty, Daisy kept singing America. So it appears that the America that Daisy sang and the America that America sang were 2 different songs. Until today. Langston Hughes was right in both poems. I too sing America, and life may not be a crystal stair. It wasn't for Daisy. But the lesson is that if you keep singing America, if you keep climbing that rough side of the mountain, Langston says it, and I too sing America, towards the end, that tomorrow I'll be at the table. When company comes, nobody will dare say to me, "Eat in the kitchen." That means no bricks, no murders. And besides, he says, they will see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too sing America. So now that we've unveiled this beautiful statue of Daisy Bates, so that America and the world will in perpetuity see how beautiful America is when they see Daisy Lee Gaston Bates. Say her name, Daisy Bates. And we all will be singing the same America. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Jeffries. Thank you, America.